national acts was a really, really cool thing. And since then, they've done some more local shows like that because of that night.
So I'm going to jump on that because
Mm-hmm.
it just seems to be timely. So I'm not a part of the metal world. And it's just not that not that there's none of it that I like. I'm just I'm not part of that world.
Sure.
Our bass player can definitely tell you
way more about it.
She definitely can. I was more of a punk rock kid. You can tell by the Black Flag tattoos. But so Otep and this controversy regarding local bands don't draw.
So she's definitely not the first person to say it, but she was the first person to, at least in recent memory, to say it the way she did. People have said before, the reason that so many tickets are sold is because we're playing. That's one thing. I can understand that kind of point of view. If Reverend Horton Heat's coming through town and we're opening for him, I can guarantee you 75 to 95% of the tickets are because he's coming through. But there's still some tickets that are being sold by us. So you don't tell, especially, I don't know Otep personally. I don't know her, so I can't say anything about her personality or this or that, but it came off very abrasive. And you can't tell localities, all of them anyways. There might be places you go that the local bands don't sell tickets. But I don't think that's the case. I know here in Tulsa, people were pushing that show months ahead of time. And they were selling tickets like crazy. And I know that here in Tulsa, local bands do sell tickets. If it's a ticketed show. You can easily, I know I've been to plenty of shows at the Vanguard where it's packed out. Obviously in February with the Oklahoma Homegrown show, 3 local bands packed out the Canes, which is pretty hard to do. It's a big venue.
Yeah, it's not exactly a small place.
Yeah. The Shrine has been packed out for local bands before.
Yep.
So you can't tell me that local bands don't sell tickets. Especially when they're the ones, basically the boots on the grounds with the tickets in their hands, giving them out, not giving them out, but selling them out to people that they know, to people who want them. People think you just go online or you just show up and buy tickets. A lot of the times here in Tulsa, it's because people are pushing.
Pre-sale is a big deal here.
Yeah. I've heard pre-sale doesn't work. And some cases that's true. It depends on what you're running. But pre-sale tickets in Tulsa are a pretty big deal because most of the time it's $15 if you buy them from the person, $18 when you show up at the door. Not a big price difference, but when you can save that and buy a beer at the bar with that $3, that's what I'm going to do.
It is an interesting dichotomy to see around here because word of mouth is still a very big deal.
Oh, yeah.
When it comes to selling a show. And I didn't really think about it till I went and watched the video,
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe I had a different perspective than most people did because I have no fucking clue who this lady is.
And that's, unless you're part of the heavy metal world, you don't. And, I can name a crap ton of metal bands, but I would have never known about her unless that had ever got started.
Right. And again, like I said, it's not like I don't know anything about it. It's just,
not your world.
Yeah. So, to me, to hear, somebody, I have no fucking clue who she is. She's not exactly like lighting the world on fire.
Yeah.
And this, I know Animals as Leaders or Between the Buried and Me. It's not like Metallica is the only metal band in the world I know, but I still know who you are. And for you to say, my friends, me, guys like me, gals like me, pretty much wasting our time when it comes to pre-sale tickets, and that we have nothing to do with whether or not when you show up in our town succeeds. I could see where that made a lot of people upset.
Yeah, it does. Here's the thing. When you're a touring act like that, yeah, you're a big draw. Like when the Punk Necks come to town, they bring a lot of people into the bar because, one, they're good at marketing themselves when they come into town.
Yeah.
I know that Polly Punk Neck has like a text list, and as soon as they hit Tulsa that night, she hits a button and it texts everybody on that like contact list, which is hundreds of people.
Yeah.
So they know about it. Unless you're doing stuff like that, you're probably not drawing a lot of people in the first place. Now, you might be a big name, big-ish, smaller, big, whatever, but nobody really knows about it unless your local bands are making flyers and putting it on Facebook and talking about it and saying something. The openers, although they're not as
to them,
big as you,
it's a date on the calendar. The guys coming in from out of town.
Yeah.
And for somebody like us, in which we've had the opportunity to open for national touring acts, that's like your month.
Oh, yeah.
You might have other shows, but that's the one where you're like, if you guys are going to come see us in, June or whenever, this is the one to come see us at, show these guys some love from Tulsa.
Yeah.
That's the way, and I know that's the way you guys promote that kind of stuff as well. And
that's the way it should be. I mean, you, like I said, you can say it and twist it however you want that you're selling a lot of tickets, and that might be true, but don't tell me that local bands don't sell tickets. That your success isn't in some part to local bands busting their ass to make sure that your show goes great. Because otherwise, if there's no opening bands, you're gonna go up there and play for an hour, and there's nobody gonna pay $20 to go see you play for an hour.
I'm sure her tickets were more than $20.
I think these ones were 20.
Really?
At the Shrine, I think they were.
Okay, so
yeah, so I know that for $20 I'm not gonna go watch somebody play for an hour.
No.
I mean, if it was Elton John, yeah, I'll pay $20 to go see him play for an hour.
Yeah,
but I'm not going to pay $20 to see somebody I'm not fully aware of play for an hour. It's just not going to happen.
And, on the contrary, like, there are guys from around here that I'd pay $20 to see for an hour, but that aren't necessarily, like, national acts, like Parker Millsap or J.D. McPherson.
Yeah.
Which both those guys have broken out of here, but still, they're still, I guess, I still feel like they're still...
Your neighbor.
Yeah, they're still part of this scene. They're just bigger parts of it than the rest of us, and it's just like I'd pay $20 to see Parker put on an hour and a half long show. They're major touring bands that I would not that I definitely can't say that for, and I think you'd say the same.
Yeah, there definitely are.
I guess maybe I felt coming into this, and I watched the whole video, that just seems like it goes on, and and to me, I don't really care what you say about us. What frustrated me about that was, to me, it felt like she was spitting on the fans who, might have been open to becoming a fan of hers.
Yeah.
Because, I'm not, like, my wife, we were dating at the time. I had never seen Parker Millsap. I knew the guy opening, said, you may, maybe it'll just be your thing to see Parker, but I'll still hang around. Awesome. Glad I did that, And if he had been like, well, local acts don't draw, I don't care how good the guy is. He's already put a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah, you're right. Like, that is kind of like throwing shade at the fans too, because those fans might not even be coming to see you.
Right.
Like, they might be there to see their friends, and then they hang around and see you, and that's how you get fans. That's how you get new fans, anyways.
Right.
It's not just about the bands. You're right. It's about the fans, because that's basically, if you tell me that Altar Blood isn't the one helping sell tickets for that show, well, I know those guys. They're good guys. They're good musicians. I'd like to call them friends. I think they're my friends. They hang out with me and drink, You're basically telling me that my friends aren't good enough to sell at that show without you being there anyway, which I just think is false.
And whether or not they could or they couldn't, you used to be them at one point.
Yeah, I mean, no matter how big my band would ever get, like, we could go nationally touring, I would still make sure to thank everybody who, just like we do now, you thank your sound people, you thank your venue, you thank your bartenders, you thank the bands that opened up and got the crowd ready for you. Or the people that came out to the show because of them.
Right.
Hey, I know you guys aren't here to see us, Don't hit the doors yet. See if you like us.
Man, I know for a fact that we have been put in front of people who have bought our merch and come to our shows elsewhere because of things that we've done with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I guess when you're on our level, it's really easy to see that.
Yeah.
Because it's, you can stand on the stage and count fans.
Yeah.
And be like, I remember the last time I saw you. You were here to see Dixie Wrecked, and now you came to see us. That's cool. So, I mean, she seems, I guess, to have lost that somewhere between where we're at and where she's at.
Yeah, and that's just kind of sad that, you could ever get to a point where you've lost a little bit of touch with the fact that you're still just a local musician. No matter how big you get, I don't care if Metallica plays in Norway, they're still a band from a town.
Yeah, we're all somebody from somewhere, and at the end of the day, if you can't go home, to me, this is a metric that I've always in my head. If you can't go home and fill a bar, or if you can't hold up in front of 6 people,
yeah.
You're missing something.
Yep.
You're definitely missing something, because that ability to still just, whether it's 660 or 6,000, you got to give them that same level that you would, no matter what. And that statement to me said that, well, if there's 6,000, she's in. If there's 600, she might be in. And if there's anything less, then she's not interested. And that's just...
Yeah, that's just not a place you should ever be as a musician.
And I know there are people out there who are screaming at their computer right now saying, it's business, you guys are taking this way, and that's true. Absolutely, she got screwed by the promoter from the sound of it. Obviously, I don't know his side of the story, but it sounds like they were not going to get paid what they were promised. That's their job. That's how they make money. I totally understand that. I have no problem that she didn't play that show. I get that. I really do. Because if I go to work tomorrow, my boss says, I still need you to do the job, and I'm not going to pay you. Well, no.
Taking the day off then.
Yeah, I'm going to go home. But at the same time, there was no reason at all to be like, it's because the local X didn't sell any tickets to the gig.
Yep.
Didn't have anything to do with it. Mm-mm. You feel like they couldn't have drawn without you? Maybe that one band couldn't have, but I guarantee you they could have got 3 or 4 of their friends, and they would have made at least the same amount of money they made opening for you, and filled that hall.
It
would have maybe been more work? Yeah, probably. But could they have done it? Absolutely. So, I guess that's our soapbox segment for this week.
Fair enough.
But, so, you told us about the best show. Doesn't have to be locally, because I don't want you to, and if it is, it's fine. Worst show, worst concert you've ever been to in your life.
Worst concert I've ever been to. Man, and it sucks, because I want to say it was the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and I love them, and they are really good, but I saw them in 2007 in January. They were supposed to play in Oklahoma City in 2006 in December, but there was a huge ice storm, so they had to skip on by, and they came back at the end of that tour.
Was this the gig where their opening act couldn't make it, so they had the rapper?
Oh, yeah. Did you hear about it?
I have a coworker that has this same story, actually.
Yeah. His name was, he sings that song, My Dick.
I don't know, man.
It was a really dumb popular song for a little while. It had its 15 minutes of fame. And Ricky Avalon was his name. And I think he was from Oklahoma City. I really think he was, because they said they got the act from a local source when they came in. It was Gnarls Barkley had been on tour with them that whole time, and then when the new year started, he was starting another tour on his own, so he couldn't be with them for that show. And Ricky Avalon came out there, and he just was not the right choice for the type of music that was coming up with the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and just not for the crowd.
The act
the Oklahoma crowd. Yeah, definitely didn't. And so it started off weird, and then the Red Hot Chili Peppers got up there and got kind of mad that people booed when they said something about the opener. That was Flea, and he's kind of a hothead sometimes anyways. But they musically they did a good job, but you could just tell they were worn out. That tour I think had been 8 months long, and it was the final show of the tour.